Hey everyone, I am so happy you're here today because we've got a super fun story about two of the bestest friends in the whole wide forest. And believe me, their adventure is totally jam-packed. Okay, before we jump in, I've got a question for you. Have you ever helped someone cook in the kitchen? Like stirring the cookie dough or washing the vegetables for dinner? Well, think about that because our story today is all about helping in the kitchen. But it gets a little silly. Okay, let's do this. It's time to meet our amazing forest friends. First up, say hello to Bear. He's this big, kind bear who just loves his garden. I mean, it's his favorite thing ever. He grows all kinds of yummy fruits and pretty flowers there. And look, here's Masha. Now, she might be little, but whoa, she has so much energy. She's like a little bee just buzzing all over the place, always ready for a big adventure, especially if her best friend Bear is there. So now we know our friends, right? Let's see what they're up to today. It looks like they have you ready for this? A very big problem. Wow, look at that. Bear is a really good gardener, isn't he? His garden is just overflowing with juicy strawberries, red raspberries, and super sweet cherries. There's fruit everywhere. So what do you do with all that yummy fruit? So Bear is looking at all this fruit, and you can just see a little idea popping into his head. What do you think he's going to make with all those berries and cherries? Any guesses? Yes, you got it. It's jam day. In the language where the story first came from, they say, El Dia de la Mermelada. Isn't that cool? Yay! Bear's going to turn all that fruit into delicious jam that he can eat all winter long. Okay, so Bear is ready to go. He's got his apron on, and then guess who shows up? Masha! And she is so ready to help. Let's see what happens when they use Masha's very special and very silly recipe. So, want to know how to make jam the Masha way? Okay, step 1, you gotta get a huge pot, like the biggest one ever. Step 2, don't put in just a little fruit. No. You put in all of the fruit. Step 3, and this is the best part, add your secret ingredients. And last, you stir with all your power. Whoosh, splash. Oh my gosh, you have to see Masha's secret ingredients. So Bear's being super careful, following his recipe, but Masha thinks, this needs more flavor. So what does she add? Pine cones and salt. Can you even imagine jam made with pine cones? Oh, Masha. So after all that crazy stirring and all those interesting ingredients, what happened? What did they make? Let's go see their totally jam-packed kitchen. Whoa, are you seeing this? 247 jars of jam. That is so much jam. The whole kitchen is full, from the floor all the way up to the ceiling. I guess their silly recipe kind of worked. Maybe a little too well. But wait, hold on a second. Bear's looking around at all the jam, feeling pretty proud, and then he notices something is missing. His favorite drawings. They were right there on the table. Where did they go? Okay, it's time to investigate. Put on your detective hats. Let's look for clues. Clue number 1, there's a suspicious jam stain on the table. Clue number 2, look, tiny little footprints on the floor. And clue number 3, wait a minute, look at the jars. The drawings. They're the lids. Masha used them to decorate all the jam jars. Well, mystery solved. Masha's decorating was a surprise for sure. But it kind of shows us what the best part of the whole day was. So what was the real sweetest treat on jam day? Let's look at the two recipes, okay? So Bear's recipe had fruit and sugar. Pretty normal for jam, right? And Masha's recipe, well, it had fruit and sugar too, but she also added a little salt, a whole lot of giggles, and the number 1 most important ingredient, a big friendship. The jam turned out great, but the very best part of jam day was that they did it all together. The real magic wasn't a secret ingredient or some magic word. Nope. It was friendship. That's what made everything so fun and so special. And that was the story of Masha and the Bear's jam day. It kind of makes you think, right? What's a fun project you could do with one of your friends? You could cook something, or maybe build a giant pillow for it, or even draw a cool picture together. Whatever it is, just remember the secret ingredients. Lots of giggles and a whole lot of friendship. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Long ago, before screens or scripts, humans sat huddled together around roaring fires, telling tales to keep the frightening, inky darkness at bay.
Here, we see an ancient cave painting of a wild animal, etched directly into the rock. It is one of the earliest times people anchored their imaginations to a physical space. This massive stone amphitheater in Greece shows how those intimate fireside chats eventually grew. Now, thousands of people could gather on a lush hillside to share in a sprawling theatrical production. We have traded rough stone walls for glowing digital pixels, but the core challenge, building a believable, captivating world entirely from scratch, has not changed at all. But hold on a second. If you want to build one of these massive digital stories today, how do you actually do it? You can't just wish a fully formed cinematic video into existence. Spontaneous imagination gets you started, but a clear, structured system is what gets you to the finish line. Look at this blueprint. This is our source document, acting like a highly detailed recipe card. It contains all the precise architectural rules needed to construct a 10-minute bedtime story about a frightened little candle and a dark moon. Every emotional story you see on screen relies on an organized layout designed to hold the viewer's attention from beginning to end. Think of these structural rules as the story skeleton. Without a strong timeline holding everything up, a video can easily feel too rushed, or it can drag on and become boring. In this diagram, we slice the entire timeline into 20 equal blocks. Zooming into one block, a timer ticks down. We restrict each scene to 20 to 30 seconds, keeping the pace brisk. When you multiply those 20 scenes by roughly 30 seconds apiece, the math perfectly maps out a 10-minute movie. It is a reliable formula for a bedtime story. Watch this candle character. When generating 20 different scenes, your main character might accidentally swap clothes, change colors, or turn into a completely different shape. To stop that chaos, the blueprint uses a single identity card for the character. It's like a strict uniform that the character must wear. This checklist locks in exact colors, clothing, and personality traits. That completed profile is then copied and stamped into the instructions of every single scene block on our timeline, without exception. By acting as a foundational lock, this rule forces the tool to produce a reliable, consistent character that a viewer can actually recognize and care about. Here we have a comparison. The blueprint demands we move away from flat, unlit spaces and intentionally apply soft lighting, warm tones, and rich painted textures to create a magical atmosphere. To keep these images from feeling like still photographs, we inject specific camera directions. We tell the system to use slow pans and gentle zooms, giving the illusion of a living, breathing space. The audio gets its own set of rules. The narrator is instructed to speak slowly and calmly, like a wise elder telling a tale, placing gentle pauses into the script to let the words settle. These aesthetic choices aren't random. They are carefully selected because gentle pacing and warm visuals feel safe and inviting for children getting ready for sleep. When you combine precise camera instructions with a highly controlled vocal tone, you successfully manufacture a sense of genuine emotional weight. Now watch when our host activates the blueprint. All those structural timelines, character constraints, and atmospheric rules collapse together to build the story. We see our main character, the terrified little candle. After trembling in the pitch black, it finally gathers its courage and flares into a warm flame. Because of that single act of bravery, the ancient door that never opened reacts to the light, and its heavy stone frame slowly creaks open. The light escapes out of the door and rushes up into the night sky, where it washes over the dark moon, returning its lost glow. It shows us that even the smallest light can push away the deepest dark. It also proves that following a clear plan can take these separate parts and turn them into a finished story that actually means something. Our host returns to remind us of the big picture. Creating magic on screen is rarely an accident. It is the direct result of careful, intentional structuring behind the scenes. Looking at this mock-up of a video player, we can see the final step of our blueprint, packaging. The document even writes the exact title, description, and tags needed to make sure the story actually reaches its audience. By applying these specific building blocks, anyone can map out a vision and clearly instruct their tools to bring it to life. So, now that you have the blueprint, what kind of story will you build first?